serve a God that neither sleeps nor slumbers. But he is the keeper of his people. Praise God today. Praise God today.
Amen, amen. Thank you, God. Hallelujah. Thank you, God.
We are very much aware of the current climates around our globe. And I don't fault anyone who decided to not come to worship this morning. Not only at this house, but at houses across the nation. We don't fault anyone. We don't blame anyone. But I firmly believe that when the land is in perilous times, the people of God are to still gather together.
Amen.
That's just how I feel about it. You can still get up and go to work. They ain't told you to stop coming to work yet. Some of y'all going to a restaurant when you leave here.
Come on.
All those establishments are still open. I don't see why we got to close the house of the Lord.
Come on, come on.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I just feel like if we ain't doing nothing else, we ought to be praying. If we ain't doing nothing else, we ought to be trusting in our God. Kevin, it's good to see you, Doc. God bless you, man. But I'm glad to behold your faces this morning. And don't get me wrong, we're not being negligent of what's going on. We're fully much aware. And we're not to be careless, uninformed. Stay informed. Stay informed. Do what's needful. Do what's necessary for your health, the health of your family, and your household. Do what's necessary. But at the same time, we don't respond like others when it comes to trouble. Why? Because we know something they don't know. We know there's a greater power. And my thing is, he did not give us the spirit of fear. I'm crazy enough to believe that my God can protect me from the corona. I'm crazy enough to believe that if I get the corona, he can take it away.
Come on, come on.
And then I'm also crazy enough that if I succumb to the corona, absent from the body, for to live is Christ, but to die is gain. All I'm saying is, whatever the condition,
Come on, I'm good.
it's all right
Yeah.
with my soul. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, that's right. I'm good.
That's all I'm saying. It's all right either way. they tell us, when they close down everything, they tell you don't come to work, they're closing down restaurants, and tell everybody to stay in your house. Then we might close the doors again. But until then, let us not forsake the assembly of ourselves together. Amen?
Amen.
Now, since you didn't come out here today,
Come on.
Our God is such a good God.
Thank you, God.
Our coming is never in vain. For the Lord said, where two or three
Yeah.
are gathered together in my name, I will be in the midst of them. Praise his holy name. I believe the Lord has a word for us today. Coming out of the gospel according to Mark. Praise God. The gospel according to Mark, chapter 9. We start at verse 17. Please stand when you have it. Mark chapter 9, beginning at verse 17. Cam, I think my battery might be getting low. Mark chapter 9, verse 17. And one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which hath a dumb spirit. And wheresoever he taketh him, he teareth him. And he foameth and gnasheth with his teeth, and pineth away. And I spake to thy disciples that they should cast him out, and they could not. He answered him and said, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him unto me. And they brought him unto him, and when he saw him, straightway the spirit tore him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed foaming. And he asked his father, How long is it ago since this came? How long is it ago? How long is it ago since this came unto him? And he said, since he was a child. And oft times it hath cast him into the fire and into the waters to destroy him. But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Jesus said unto him, If thou can believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. Amen. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read the 24th verse too. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. Help thou mine unbelief. Amen. Amen. I want to speak briefly from the subject, help mine unbelief. Help mine unbelief. It is my aim this morning help get me a battery. I need my hand. I'll throw this mic or something. Help mine unbelief. It's my aim this morning to speak to us, to speak to you concerning your unbelief. Concerning your unbelief. Whatever your unbelief is, whatever it is, maybe your unbelief is you're unsure that Jesus is God. Maybe your unbelief is that you're unsure if the only way to heaven is through Christ. Maybe your unbelief today is you don't know. Well, put it like this. Maybe you believe that Jesus is the Christ and he is the way, the truth, and the life. But maybe your unbelief lies in your circumstance. Maybe your unbelief lies in that he can't take your pain away. Maybe your unbelief lies in the fact that you don't know if he'll feed you if you're hungry. Maybe your unbelief lies that he won't lift your burdens or the weight that's on your heart. Whatever your unbelief is this morning, I come to tell you that there is help for your unbelief. There is help for your unbelief. And I don't want you to think that you are so saved that you have a perfect faith.
Okay, come on.
I don't want you to lie to yourself like that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's dangerous. That's dangerous because God will try you right where you're weak.
Yeah.
And he don't have a problem showing you that you have not arrived and you have not come as far as you think you have. Help me, Holy Spirit. Do not think or believe that you have a perfect faith. Everybody's faith is weak somewhere. Everybody's faith is weak somewhere. When we look at this story today before us in this passage, this father brought his child to the Lord. He brought him to the Lord. Now, Christ wasn't there yet. He was up in the mountain with Peter, James, and John because he had a little Bible meeting with Moses and Elijah on the Mount of Transfiguration. And since Jesus wasn't there, he consulted with his disciples to see if they could heal him. They could not, so then the scribes who were present began to ridicule them. But then here comes Jesus. The man brought his child to Jesus, tells us that he had some belief. At least in the fact that Jesus was a healer.
Come on.
Are y'all with me? At a minimum, he at least had that belief. But see, when we read the text and we get down to verses 22, 23, and 24, we see that even with his belief, he had some unbelief. Beloved, see, the thing is what this text is showing us today is that our belief oftentimes is specific and personal to whatever our circumstance or condition is. To whatever our circumstance or condition is. And the thing is, we can't always base what we believe about God on our personal circumstances. Because when we do, the effects of what we're going through will cloud our judgment. It will make our faith become no faith at all. Thank you, brother. So the thing is, with this particular case, the father here believed Christ to be a healer, but was shaky on whether or not he could heal in this situation. Right. Beloved, I come to serve somebody. Notice today that there is a God that is greater than your problem. That there is a God that is greater than your circumstance. That there is a God with omnipotent strength and an inexhaustible power. And when you know you have access to this God, it should take your mind above your circumstances. I understand. I get it. Trust me, I do. These are times where it's difficult to believe. It's difficult to believe. You got folk and they hear preachers and they hear what Christianity has to say, and they telling you to believe this, and the Lord will provide, and the Lord will protect, and the Lord is good, and everything lovely, and they're hearing all of these things, but then the thing is they're responding based on what they see. And based on what they see makes it difficult to believe that God is a healer when I see people dying every day from sickness and disease. I understand that it's difficult for you to believe that God will feed me when I'm hungry, when I know that there's hungry children and homeless people dying of starvation all over the world. I understand it's difficult to believe. You got crime and murder at all-time highs, and you got children cussing out parents, and you got all this unruliness and disorder all over the land when the king of the land has no moral compass, and when we are dealing with times where it seems like nobody cares about respecting others and respecting people's privacy and respecting elders and having some dignity about yourself. I understand why it's difficult to believe, but maybe, just maybe, you've never heard about a God that can make a way out of no way. Maybe you've never heard about a God who can put a highway through the middle of the sea. Maybe you've never heard of a God where the wind obeys his command, a God that walks on water and turns water into wine and makes the lame walk and the deaf hear and the dumb speak. Maybe you've never heard of this God. So I understand why you don't believe me. But even in all of that, maybe you don't know about this God that can make the dead come alive. Oh, maybe you ain't never heard about that God. And see, I understand because belief is based on what you know. Belief is based on what we know. Nobody, you've heard me tell you before, and if you haven't, I know my Bible study class has, but nobody believes anything by choice. Do you hear me? We believe based on what we know. And the thing is, people have this level of unbelief because they just don't know.
Come on.
So I get it. I get it. You don't believe that he'll feed you when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Because you ain't never been hungry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I get it. I get it. You don't believe that he can heal because you believe the doctor healed you. You don't believe that you can be translated from death to life because you don't know that you was ever dead. We believe based on what we know. But when the Lord lets you know some stuff, when the Lord lets you know that he will feed you. See, the thing is I say it all the time, God ain't got a problem proving himself. He ain't got a problem making good on his word. You want to know if he'll feed you? He got to make you starve a little bit. And not where you just ain't got nothing in the refrigerator and got to go to the store. I'm talking about when ain't nothing in the refrigerator and there ain't nothing in the bank. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe the doctor got to tell you that you only got 6 weeks. And the Lord needs to turn that into 6 years in order for you to know that he's a maybe. Maybe you just need to know some stuff in order to believe some stuff. So I understand. And this man had a problem with his belief. You got to understand it was chaos. You can just imagine his home was probably chaotic because at any given moment, his son could have one of these episodes. And the thing is you know, it kind of gives us a little bit of gleaning into ourselves.
Yeah.
Into our own state and our own condition. Because at any given moment, things can get out of order. Yeah. In your own household. Yeah. In your own body. Everything was good to yesterday. Well, maybe today is a new day. And just because yesterday was all good, fine and dandy, you better hope that the same God that held you yesterday is going to be the same God that's going to hold you today. So, beloved, the thing is life can turn in a moment and in the twinkling of an eye. And not only that, but this condition of this boy can also speak to where we are in our own faith, where we are in our own sinfulness. Baby, whether you believe it or not, we are messed up. We are messed up individuals. We have messed up complexes, and we got messed up egos, and we got lusts and vices and desires that curb, and they alter our judgments, and they alter our decisions, and they keep us from doing what we ought to be doing. It causes us to do things we shouldn't be doing. But beloved, what you got to understand is that there is a God who has power even above your own will, your lust, and desires. If we can just believe that God will keep you in spite of you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We must believe. We must believe. We must believe. And the thing is when we get to verse 22, and he says that he's been like this in verse 21 since he was a child. Yeah. In other words, he's saying it's been like this for a long time. Some of you have been in some situations for a long time. And he says that oftentimes it would cast them into the fire and into the waters to destroy them. Beloved, your condition will threaten your life. Some of us have gone through some very perilous moments, all because of what we're dealing with. You almost lost your mind. You almost lost who you are. You almost gave up. You may not have killed yourself, but you wanted the Lord to go ahead and take you out of here. But you was ready to throw in the towel. And then the man said, Lord, but if you can do anything, have compassion on us. The first thing I want to look at is where he's asked the Lord to have some compassion. Beloved, the first thing I want to tell you is that the Lord has compassion on the weak. Beloved, you need to first realize that you cannot judge God's compassion or his love based on the circumstance. Hallelujah. Because if you judge whether or not God is there or his love, his presence with you, based on my current situation, then when I perceive it to be bad, I may perceive that God has left me to myself. I may perceive that God has abandoned me, that God does not love me, or that God has left me somewhere. But if I can realize that God is still there, regardless of my condition, because the true evidence of God's love is not the circumstance, but it's the sustainment. Beloved, the thing is, I can be going through hell in my life. I can be going through sickness in my life. I can be going through pain and grief and loss in my life. But baby, if the Lord can let me live with this thorn in my flesh and remind me that his grace is sufficient, and when I am weak, then I am strong, and he will never leave me nor forsake me. Baby, he has not left you in the midst of it. You need to see that God is sustaining you in the midst of it. And that sustainment, even though you may not be eating steak and lobster, but the Lord is putting something in your body. God is sustaining you as you go throughout the wilderness. I told them on Wednesday, the people of Israel, they could not judge God's love based on the fact that they had been delivered for 40 years and still have not made it to the promised land. But baby, Moses had to remind them what God had done for them. He said, you've been walking around this mountain for 40 years with the same clothes on that you left out of Egypt, and yet your clothes never wore out. You got the same shoes on that you left with out of Egypt, and yet the soles haven't worn out. And as a matter of fact, even the shoes grew with the babies because you wasn't able to make new shoes with them. He said, you need to know that I fed you when you was hungry. I clothed you when you was hungry. I put a roof over your head. God is a sustainer.
Thank you, God.
He is a sustainer.
Yes, he is.
God has compassion on his people. Do not judge whether God is there because the effects are getting to you. You need to judge that he's there because he's still keeping you. Ain't the Lord all right? This next thing, he says, if you can. He said, if you can do anything. And the Lord, I like how he responded to him. As if he was to say, if I can. Beloved, it ain't about whether or not God can. It ain't about whether or not he has the ability to. It ain't even about whether or not if he wants to. But beloved, what he told him was, it ain't if I can, but it's if you can. Ain't the Lord all right? It ain't whether or not I can heal him. It ain't whether or not I can feed you. It ain't whether or not I can clothe you. It ain't whether or not I can lift your burden down heads. But baby, if you can just believe. For if you believe that I'll feed you when you're hungry, then I'll show up with bread in my hand that I will heal you. I'll show up with a balm in Gilead. If you believe that I can raise the sick, that I can open up blind eyes, that I can unstop deaf ears, if you just believe, I'll show up right on time. Ain't the Lord all right? I gotta run on because I just can't hold my mule. But Lord, my God, is there anything else that you got to tell us today? Because I know we don't have a perfect faith, but if you can just help me with my unbelief, well, beloved, if there's anybody here that you got a problem with trusting God for your situation, I gotta tell you, oh, beloved, in this world, if you got a problem, then God is God over your circumstance. He's God over hunger. He's God over starvation. He's God over the coronavirus. He's God over the government. Ain't the Lord good, but He's also God over my salvation. Ain't the Lord all right? If you can just believe that He was kept me, He raised me above myself. I once was lost, but now I'm found. But He kept me when I was gone, doing my own thing, because I was lost, sinking deep in sin. Ain't the Lord all right? But He found me just like I am. He called me unto Himself. Ain't He all right? I'm brand new in my body. Ain't He all right? I know I look the same, but you just ain't paying attention. Because now I got a new walk. Now I got a new talk. Now I got a new mind. Ain't the Lord all right? If you can just believe, believing is knowing. I want to go back and talk to the unbeliever who you may not know whether Jesus is who He says He is. Well, let me tell you, because I know what you're saying. How do you know? Why do you believe? Because, baby, I was there when they crucified my Lord. I was there when they nailed Him to the cross. I was there because all of my sins, all of my wrongs, all of my hatred was put on His back. Ain't the Lord good? And He died. Didn't He do it? Sunday morning, He got up with all power. I was there when they went to the grave, and there was nothing in the tomb but the grave clothes. I was there with Jack and Thomas when He put His hands in His head. He put His finger in His side. I was there when He came walking on the blue ether. I was there when He raised Jerusalem God. I was there. Ain't He all right? I see them for myself. So I believe. out my eyes. He pulled the sugar baby out of my ears. He gave me a sip and allowed me to taste and see that the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting. His truth will endure all generations. I'm a believer. Ain't you all right? Are you a believer today? Then trust the Lord. Trust the Lord. Trust the Lord. Won't He do it? Won't He do it? Trust and believe. He'll do just what He said. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Faith ain't something you conjure up. Faith is based on what you know and what you believe. I can have faith that the Lord will heal me when I get sick. I can have faith that the Lord will feed me when money gets crazy. I can have faith that when I don't know where my child is, that the Lord will keep me. I can have faith to know that when I lost my job, He'll still keep a roof over my head. He'll still put clothes on my back. If I gotta wear the same clothes for 5 years, He won't let the washing machine wear them out. I believe it. I believe it. And I believe Him because He showed me